All right, these are your notes on the 5 themes of geography. Geography helps us describe a place and the people in that place, as well as describing where a place is. And we're going to talk about how geography relates to each of the civilizations that we study this year. Right now, you should have a pen or pencil. You should have your 5 themes of geography note sheet out in front of you, and you need to fill that note sheet out as we go through the notes. The first thing that we need to be able to talk about when we talk about geography is location. Location describes where something is, and you need to write that definition next to number 1, location, on your geography themes note sheet. There are 2 ways that we can talk about absolute location, or talk about location. The first is absolute location. This is when we use lines of latitude and longitude to find where something is on a map. So fill in the notes, use lines of latitude and longitude to find where something is. These are lines that map makers have put on the world in order to be able to locate places. And this is what your GPS on your phone uses to tell where you are or to give you directions to go somewhere. So here's the map with lines of latitude and longitude on them. Lines of latitude go across, they lay down, that's the way that I remember it, and lines of longitude go up and down the map as we're used to looking at it. We will practice using lines of latitude and longitude together in class and talk in more detail about how they work. The second way that we talk about location is to talk about relative location. Relative location is where we describe where one place is in relationship relative to another place. So for example, I could describe where Robert E. Lee High School is by saying that Robert E. Lee High School is across the street from Springfield Mall. Then we have place. Place tells us what a location is like, and there's 2 ways that we talk about place. The first way we talk about place is by talking about what the people in a place are like. Those are the human characteristics. And this could be anything people have in common. Some common human characteristics are religion and language. You should fill those in the blanks, like religion, language, and give one more example of your own of what people in a certain place might have in common. The other way that we talk about a place is by talking about its physical characteristics. Its physical characteristics include what the land looks like. So if I look at these pictures, I could describe this place by saying that it has a large lake, that there are evergreen trees, pine trees, there are high mountains. Pick a couple of words, 1 or 2 words, to describe the place that you see in this picture. Once you've done that, go on to the next one. And pick 1 or 2 words that describe this picture. You might say that it is dry or arid. Arid is another word that means dry. That it has a river bed but no water. You could describe whether it's flat or mountainous. You could describe the colors that you see. All of these are ways that we can describe what a physical place is like. Next, we have human-environment interaction. This is how we use, adapt to, or depend on how we need our environment. Write that definition down next to human-environment interaction. So some examples could be farming. This is actually a picture of my sister who has a farm in Maryland, and she's going to come later in the year to talk to us about farming. But she is using a tractor to till the land, to mix up the soil so that it will be good for planting. So she is making her environment adapt to her needs. This is a picture of the mall in Washington, D.C. And Washington, D.C. is a good example of human-environment interaction because it used to be a swamp. And the people who wanted to build a city there filled in the swamp with debris in order to make better land for building on. So that's why it's so humid here in the summers, because we live basically around a swamp. Fill in the examples for human environment interaction before you go on to the next theme. Theme number 4 is region. Regions are groups of places with shared characteristics. Okay, so fill in that definition. Some examples of how we might group regions are by climate. This is a climate map. It shows you what the weather is like in different parts of the country. This is a political map. It shows a political region. When we talk about different places of the world, we group them together so that in our minds we can understand that these places have things in common. The Middle East is interesting because it's a group of countries that, while they have environment often in common, or they have ethnic heritage in common, there are also places that have very different environments, very different ethnic heritages. And that's what makes it such a complicated region of the world. A lot of the places we talk about this year are here. Add one more example of your own of ways that we might make a region. Lastly, we have movement. Movement describes how people, goods, and ideas get from one place to another. So please write down that definition and then think about a mode of movement you use today. Did you ride in a car? Did you ride in a bus? Did you take a train? Did you take a plane? Did you walk? Did you fly because you flapped your wings really hard? Whatever mode of movement you use today. Okay. The easy way to remember the 5 themes of geography is to remember Mr. Help. The letters in Mr. Help stand for the themes of geography. So the M stands for movement, fill it in. The R stands for region, fill it in. The H and the E stand for human environment interaction, fill it in. L stands for location, and P stands for place. This is the most helpful, way that I have found to remember the 5 themes of geography. Okay, you have one more thing to do before you are done with this assignment, and that is to turn your paper over and to give an example on the back of each theme and then a picture that illustrates that example. So if I did movement, I rode in a car to school today, draw a picture of a car driving to school, and so on and so forth. We will check your maps or your notes in class. This will go in your binder. It is binder item number 4.